Greetings, good people. What's up? What's happening? My name is Dr. Clarence, and welcome back to TV7 Live, where we get to give you all the hottest and top trending topics. Broadcasting live and direct from Zimbabwe, Africa. Enough respect wherever you're watching us from. I hope you're enjoying your day, your night, whatever time it is. Now we're back again on live broadcast. What do we have now? We see the Vice President of Zimbabwe, Chiwenga, continuing his speak against corruption. Now we see him at one event that was happening in Victoria Falls, and he speaks on something that is very, very interesting. Enough respect to everybody who's watching us live right now. To those watching us live, you can write your comments in the top chat or in the super chat. That's how I can get seeing them, so I can give him a shout out. So now we see Vice President Chiwenga in Victoria Falls, and here he is talking with the guys from the Procurement Regulatory Authority of Zimbabwe, PRAZ, and they are holding their 4th annual conference aimed at assessing progress in public procurement and charting a future that aligns with a vision for transparency, efficiency, good corporate governance, and accountability. Then we see this one here. This would be published by the Zimbabwe Zim Papers Herald. We see this one here. We see the guys here, they're posed for images. Now here we see this headline: Electronic Procurement Way to Go. VP Chiwenga. Why would that be a way to go? VP Chiwenga was speaking in Victoria Falls yesterday at the Procurement Regulatory Authority Zimbabwe PRAZ 4th annual conference. To those who know or may not know, the Victoria Falls is the capital of Zimbabwe, is the money capital of Zimbabwe. That's why we see that the stock market was moved to Victoria Falls, over to Victoria Falls. And the future Zimbabwe that we're moving towards, are we going to see a lot for separation in Zimbabwe? Like those who would have worked for their future will be at a certain position, and there are those who will be at a certain position. So classes are going to be much defined in Zimbabwe. What does that mean in terms of equality of the people? Are the opportunities equal? Is the access to opportunity equal? And obviously, the government has to be efficient. There is no room for failure in government. It is not acceptable in any way. So we are seeing this one to do with procurement. We're going to be continuing with it. And then we see this one here again. This is to do with Harari City Council. This is from yesterday's Zimbabwe's Newsday. Unqualified councillors burden Harari City Council. In fact, it's not unqualified councillors, because councillors, they are politicians. The ones who are unqualified will be the PEMSECs, the town managers, the town clerks. Those are the ones who do the real technical work. Politicians just politic. So a number of Harare City Council committee chairpersons do not have basic qualifications and lacks appreciation of the demands of their mandate. It has emerged. Okay, now we're seeing this, where Harare City Council committee, what do these guys want to be doing in these committees? Just showcasing their new suits and vehicles which they would have bought from stolen money. So these guys should not only resign, they should be arrested. Now, the ongoing Commission of Inquiry exposed during the Commission of Inquiry into the operation of City of Harare, chaired by retired Judge Justice Matthews Cheddar. One question would be, when will these guys conclude? How long does this take? Right? So we're seeing human capital alone is at a negative. It is a loss that steals a present and a future. There is no human capital. Unqualified people. Now, back again to this here. It said here as it continues. Treasury will no longer release funds for transactions conducted outside the electronic government procurement system, which came into use this year and is now at the final stage of implementation, Vice President Chiwenga said. I hope it's there and it's operational. Then he added, is designed to boost transparency and minimize corruption. He was speaking in Victoria Falls. Now I'm going to take you to which year? To this year, 2016. 2016, I did write this book, Surviving Zimbabwe. The story of a Zimbabwean by a Zimbabwean. What do we talk about in this book, Surviving Zimbabwe? Let me just put it on the screen there. Enough respect to everybody who's watching us live right about now. What we talk about in this book is contents. What this book is about: introduction, a lesson from Hitler, the digital age, land baron, national policy ideas, the land reform program, patriotism, cross-border traders, bank loans, private banks and liquidity traps, reversing the crisis, Zim dollar alternative, and times have changed. So we talk about things here, agriculture, just give examples, the cloud seedings, etc., managing our rain. Then we talk about money, right? We talk about electricity problems here, and we talk about the Zimbabwe so-called professors who are really a bunch of nobodies. I'm deliberately saying that just to be notorious. Okay, so a lot of banks are piggybacking data and are operating as agents of other foreign banks. Foreign currency is sent via an intermediary bank, and when it arrives in Zimbabwe, it will already be converted, and RBZ can never track that, right? So the simple fact that in Zimbabwe we do not have a real bank, real banks, we go through intermediary banks. Basically, our banks are basically agents of those other banks, right? So the Zimbabwean government, I don't know as of today, but as of 2016 and as of up to 2018, they were not able to monitor any money. Hence, we are suffering trade deficit that is occurring because we have ministers of finance who can't perform. We have RBZ governors who can't perform because maybe they are bankers and they are failing to run a government, national reserve. For whatever reason, the bottom line is those guys, they are failing. And the word is failing. Okay. So, here we say Zimbabwe can be the richest country in the world in a matter of less than 100 days. Right? The government does not own anything, but they're just administrators. Like, for example, if there is surplus in national revenue, everyone should be given a share. A share like in real money or in shares. Right? However, moving forward in our education system, we should remove the idea of entitlement from our minds, especially with the type of mindsets and the type of education that we have gone through over the past of our existence. Then here we go through the Chinese and the Zimbabweans, right? What was happening? Remember the contracts Mugabe, the Chinese, they gave us nothing, etc. Then we covered things like to do with Chiazwa. We talk about Chiazwa, where we would kick out our own people and bring the Chinese. I have nothing against the Chinese or any people. I don't want to be called a racist or a nationalist because I'm talking about people of other nations. No, our people comes first to us. Big up to Simbisi Makwarimba, Edward, Edson Tavengwa, Asangara, Alan Bambile says, I'm watching from Panjanja, Pazai 1. How is it over there in Anjanja there? I hope you're having a good time there, Pazai Ringwe. How is everything and thing there? Yeah. FS Jelly says, let's hope he is genuine to cause. That's how they start. Promises, 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 promises. The Bible says never trust anybody, right? What options do we have right now is when the next election comes, let us register to vote in our numbers and participate in the election and ensure that they are transparent, and we should be learning how we vote, who to vote for. Right about now, people voted for Sengezo Tabangu. Okay, so we are seeing what is happening. So it is an entirely different subject, but we should maintain our voting power. That is not the only power. True power lies in revolution, the change of the mindset. Any government needs the people's belief in it, or not necessarily belief, the fear in it, because fear is belief. I don't want to go so-called spiritual. I don't want to go. All right, so let's continue. Then we talk about Gaddafi, right? Who was Gaddafi? In this book, and the conditions for Gaddafi electricity being free for all Libyans. Loans in Libya were free with 0% interest as banks are state-owned. Take note, banks were state-owned and the loans were 0%. Now in Zimbabwe, we allow banks to create illegal money, to print money in forms of loans. Banks give loans. They make interest in stealing from Zimbabwe. And they're still doing that, and the year is 2024. Now that is some high level ignorance. Some high level ignorance is the word. Stupidity wouldn't do in that. A lot of people don't understand what it means, right? Naivety, ignorance, right? Don't create loans. Don't just create money out of thin air. At least if you want to be giving people loans, give them from insurance monies, other savings, long-term savings. That's where you should be creating. With the real money that you'll be having, you create performing loans that are going to generate more money. So actually, governments should be giving people incentives when they take loans. Give people loans for capital. Capital in doing what? Okay, for starters, let's begin with the tried and tested. Right? Oh, this guy is a farmer, he's a good farmer. They've been farming, right? Of course, we took their land and we give it to the ghetto youth, and they did whatever nonsense they did to the irrigation equipment. Let us bring that guy. Okay, let us not talk the propaganda about compensating those guys. It's misdirected, whatever it is, nonsense. It is not coming as a priority. Our priority is food security, number one, and other securities, not compensating those guys and pleasing whoever we want to be pleasing if we are really independent, if we don't even have a deep state. Okay. Then we see the government subsidize 50% of the price of a new car. If a Libyan citizen wanted to buy their first car, that would be empowerment, right? Something to push productivity of their citizens, etc. We're looking at that, and then we skip a lesson from Adolf Hitler. So that was the preface. This is chapter 1. Hitler, the hero-painted dictator. His first 6 years in power resulted in rapid economic recovery from the Great Depression, the effective abandonment of restrictions imposed on Germany after World War I, and the annexation of territories that were home to millions of ethnic Germans, actions which gave him significant popular support. While we import ex-Japanese cars, in the 1930s, Adolf Hitler revived German with the VW Beetle, the people's car. The capitalist education system claims Adolf Hitler stole the idea from Jewish engineer Joseph Ganz. Chancellor Hitler provided Porsche with details, insisting on a basic vehicle capable of transporting 2 adults and 3 children at 100 kilometers per hour while using no more than 7 liters of fuel per kilometer. The engine has to be powerful enough. So he would describe that. And also we see Adolf Hitler creating the carbon microphone and a whole lot of other things to do with television those days. We cover that also, right? Now, if we take this, what will happen? How much foreign currency are we losing from importing ex-Japanese cars? Local car dealers only want to stop ex-Japanese car imports in order to monopolize supply and take the money. They don't have the people at the heart. That is why buying a car locally is expensive as hell. I mean, as expensive as heaven. At the same time, corrupt border officers do not want ex-Japanese imports to stop because they are enjoying the spoils of corruption and abuse in office. Both of the above-mentioned parties will misinform the office of the president to further their agendas. That's why there is havoc in Zimbabwe. His Excellency himself will agree with me that there is havoc because he himself mentioned the missing 15 billion. 15 billion is divided equally. If it is to be divided equally among 14 million Zimbabweans, then each Zimbabwean would have gotten $1,071 from only 15 billion. Then we talk about the digital age, digitalization. instantly killing the black market and corruption, where we see Vice President Chiwenga now in Victoria Falls talking about. Now we're going to be back again to this page. We go to this towards the end, where we'll be talking about solutions. We talk about Zim dollar alternative. Zimbabwe's solution is not bond notes, Zim dollar runs, yarns, pullers, etc. Right? Industry is not our solution, because money these days is faith-based, meaning it's not backed by commodity. It is backed by people believing it will work. After all these years struggling Zimbabwe, the Zim dollar and the bond will not work, because the people have already denied them, because they don't believe. So they will not work. If you don't believe it will not work. Okay, so here we're talking about minting things. We're talking about gold coins and etc. We see Arabs that do something like that when they introduce the Moswatunya gold coin, and then the propaganda of the bondage note, same Britain called the Zim gold, whatever it is, backed by, it is just like any other currency would be. Why not mint according to the weight as is? You will not have control, because again we are leaving the power of performance to performing itself. We cannot tweak monetary policy so that our companies which would have invested in the stock market can make more money, right? We cannot now cater for trade deficit by devaluing the money, right? So that is very evil and actually satanic. And if should one feel offended, they should repent. Now, this is what made the most developed countries susceptible, or rather, stable and corruption free. Some countries even track money usage by keeping track of serial numbers on notes. Right. So what do I mean by digitalization? So here I give a detailed brief. Right. So there are issues like criminal records, private information, bank information, passport information, right? Information on country departures and movements, right? Public security IP-based cameras, heat signal detectors, face recognition softwares, right? Linked to our national security database, right? Road tickets issued in information, driver's license holders, standing information. Every public sector, right, has to have its information of database, and the information database has to be interconnected, right? So, but the only information their sector is allowed to know, but the National Security Department, Presidential Office, Army Intelligence will access everything. So every department is allowed to their own information or information relative to them, but all the information should be National Security, President's Office, Military Intelligence. So those databases, it's a matter of databases that keep records. How do you track money? We know this money went out of this bank to who and who. We see it being tendered in this supermarket when and when at this time. So we track leakages, right? We know this one has disappeared. Okay, what is the rate of disappearing of the money? We look at logarithms, things like that. Those databases would matter, right? So with digitalization, crime becomes easy to monitor, even detect crime before it happens. We can predict crime, right? So there are many cameras in the space that can monitor our entire country and people. So recently in Zimbabwe, we recently launched our own satellite, right? Of course, back then in the United States, we had some type of cameras that they were using, like when they would capture the 9/11, more like the cameras that are used to monitor the landscape, or in agriculture when we be taking a satellite look into the geosphere, vegetation growth patterns, etc. Then we also have weather detectors where we can detect weather patterns. We can know in Zimbabwe when it's going to rain by the grace of God, it rained yesterday. It's supposed to begin raining today. Yesterday it began raining, so we're expecting heavy rains in a lot of areas. Harari, however, is not that much covered by the rain. We know when it's going to be raining. We should be able to calculate when do we plant our crops, things like that. It's all coming under digitalization. A farmer should be having their own systems, digital domain, not some application which we call some application. Those are, it's so sad. All right. So digital national security network, right? So here I put an example on how it works here. Like for example, how supermarkets runs, right? These guys, they have point of sales which are not computers. They are IP connected to their head office, right? They know we need to make new procurements of new goods. We are running out of this and this stock, right? They know today we have this much liquid cash. They know today we are ranking here and here on the Forex exchange. They know all those things. They know we are growing. They know how much profit have we made today. They know all those things. They even have merchandisers, right? They get they get some goods on consignments if they do, right? A whole lot of other things there. So that is a whole sector of commerce that is hidden from the public, which is no longer available in books. Then policy ideas like loans should never be used for imports. Why are you using a loan for import? You are using a loan to be productive here. The only thing you should use for import is the money you have gained from export. As an individual, not as the government. The government should not import. Why? What do you want to import as the government? Huh? Cars. No. Yeah, for now you can do that because in Zimbabwe we have roads and land. MPs should be given a public entrance test before primary elections. Businessmen should not run for public office. Loans should be backed by assets and should receive and fail to pay back, the RBZ should hold the bank liable and liquidate the bank, not bail out the bank. Bailing out the bank is theft. Any bank that has ever been bailed out in Zimbabwe, is it now worth more than the bailout or it's a loss? Then we talk of the return of a Zim dollar. Oh, Zimbabwe needs a local currency. Is it? Does Zimbabwe need a local currency? Now, at that time, Zimbabwe already has many local currencies, e.g. Zim Switch. EcoCash is a local currency. EcoCash is a currency. Besides that, we use the SI units, dollars or ZIG. It's just a standardization. On its own, EcoCash is a currency, right? So no one can argue with me on that one unless they are naive and they don't know what they're talking about. So any educated person would know that, or any educator would know that even better. A currency is a system. Okay, the more traditional outdated definition of the currency is monetary units, which is never the definition. But a currency is a system. We can say monetary units are a currency. Can we say monetary units are a currency when they are not backed by commodity or people's faith? Can we say dollar is a currency? Personal dollar, personal commodity, personal assets, just because I can write dollar. Is it a currency? It's an SI unit. A currency is practical. A currency exists if it does exist. If it doesn't, it's a fraud. Then we talk about so-called targeted sanctions. Then we talk about PayPal. Then I'm not sure now, it was zero charges, etc. Then Google money, all those things, etc. I don't like want to be talking about those things because basically the government loses power and control of money. Basically, that is what should happen. We should liberalize the market, but now it's not the time to liberalize the market. People can be just doing whatever, using whatever currency they want to push their businesses forward. So, with something related to that, anybody can create their own currency. Then we talk about education. What is designed for the land reform program? I'm not going to read that one. A man is a patriot if his heart beats true to his country. All right. It's another subject of patriotism, what it means. We should just be very careful of pop culture, popular culture that shapes our culture. And social studies. Now, how about ministers who support monopoly and nepotism? How about capitalists who claim to be socialists? How about business directors into lawmaking who misinform the state to further their own agendas? Whatever policies we've been using in Zimbabwe have led us here. Bond note, Zimbabwe's most trending topic. Why is Zimbabwe embarking in a bond note move? Obviously to bondage. Then along came austerity for what? For whose prosperity? So I'm gonna end this broadcast here. We'll be back again at 7 p.m. Here are the topics in this book: is private banks and liquidity traps. What these things are. So this was just a quick writing that I just do there, and do send it to some other guys in the government. So there is a lot of writing I should be doing right now in many sectors where we can be giving ideas, especially in government. The government is misdirected in a lot of I can't say everything. Enough respect to geology says chibaba doku munonemera vatapi venawo vese. Yeah, we don't really call this news. It's only that right now the platform is young, so we don't have a wide platform for everything. But the vision is to be think tank where we have ideas, right? Where we are feathering. We're talking of things that matter. Buzz. Of course, we're talking of what's new, not necessarily now. What's new, the trends, right? As a platform where we are discussing trends, setting trends, and as fashion, the real way that X.com was meant to be, where tweets or threads are thrown out there and people discuss them in a true sense, as in by the book. So by the book is another subject also, where we should be working with our education system. What happens, etc. So with that, I do sign out. Dr. Clarence is the name. TV7 Live is the channel. As always, thank you for watching, and I'm out.